Hi, I'm Ben from 4x4 Accessories and Tyres, and in today's video I wanted to introduce you to this triple Sentinel 9-inch light integration kit that we've put on this 2023 Ford Raptor. We also do this integration kit not just for the Ford Raptor, but we also do this for the brand new Amarok and also the brand new Ranger that you'll see available across our website. You may be thinking, do I even need any more light output from my standard headlights that are on this vehicle? And the answer is, you definitely do. This customer of ours has made a great investment into his brand new Raptor. Not only has he gone for the 9-inch Sentinel integration kit, as well as even more light output from our all-famous Predator light pod that has 4 6-inch laser linear elites that have an output of 16,000 lumens, also combined with 45,000 lumen output from the Sentinels. This high-spec Raptor has the level 3 performance matrix headlights from Ford. These only have a lumen output of up to 4,000, which is the max that they can do. Whereas the Sentinels alone, this triple combination, is 10 times that amount. So you definitely need more light output than what the factory give you. The 9-inch Sentinels that we offer is 4 different options to choose from. So there's the standard option of Sentinel, which they have an output of per light of 9,500 lumens. Whereas the Elite option, there's Elite without DRL and with DRL, and they have an output of over 15,000 lumens per light. There is also a slightly smaller version of the 9-inch Sentinel. We have a 7-inch option available on our website. It's slightly smaller and takes up less of the front end if that's something that you'd prefer. So what's included in our Sentinel integration kit? Let's have a look. So it comes with 3 9-inch Sentinel lights, a black powder-coated marine grade stainless steel support bar for these lights, this stay bar support to stop the lights from moving, this black powder-coated stainless steel mounting plate. So this also includes the laser wiring loom, 2 black spacers, and additional to that, the integration kit that is required for your vehicle. With all this being said, and the Sentinels are now in your checkout basket and you're bribing your accountant, we better show you how to do the install on this. So let me introduce our technician, Rai, and he'll walk you through this whole process.
Hi there, I'm Rai, a technician at 4x4 AT here in Leeming Bar. Today I'm going to be showing you how to fit the 9-inch Sentinels to the 2023 Raptor. So this is what you're going to receive in the kit. So we have our 3 9-inch Sentinels, we have our number plate bracket with a radar recess, have our fitting kit which includes these plastic dowels, our light stays and a single and double position light laser looms. And finally we have our Predator support bar for the 3 Sentinels. And now to mount this amazing kit, these are the tools that you're going to need. Trim tool, pick, 32mm hole saw, impact driver, wire strippers, some drill bits, plastic trim tool, a deburrer. I do have a laser level here, but you could use a spirit level, flush cuts. Then I have a power probe, knife, torch, solder, electrical tape. I do have a fishing line here just to help me pass the wire in through the bung. Soldering iron, 5mm Allen key, got a 10, a 13, 17mm socket. Then I do have 2 13 ratchet spanners and an 8mm ratchet spanner, M6 tap, 8mm socket, a 5mm drill bit, PH2 Phillips bit, tape measure, drill, tie wraps, and finally some wire cutters. So on the Raptor they come standard with this number plate holder. The first thing we're going to do is remove that, which is there's 4 8mm screws to remove. We're not going to be reusing that, so you can keep that or pop it in the bin. So now that we've removed our number plate holder, we're going to remove the grille. We'll pop the bonnet. We're just going to remove this top panel here. We have various clips to remove. Just use a PH2 bit to lift them out. So there's 11 trim clips to remove. We can leave this one here in, which keeps this panel attached to this one. Same on the other side. So just pop these somewhere safe because we're going to be going back in. Now that we've got our clips out, to remove this panel, simply lift it up and then pull towards you, and it comes underneath the air duct. We can leave that up there. And now on the top of here, we have two 8mm bolts either side of the grille that need to come out. So we use an 8mm ratchet spanner. So on the Raptor, there is also 3 bolts which are located behind this panel. So we'll take this panel off and then take them out. But just before we do that, we need to disconnect the camera, which does have a connection up here, as well as the washer for the camera, which also does have a connection here. So we'll remove that now. To remove the camera jet wash connection, we're literally going to put a trim tool in behind this plastic clip here. Wiggle him out. And then we have our connection here. I'm just going to squeeze in these 2 tabs to release that. Now, if this carries on leaking at this point, just keep it in an up position and that will stop it from leaking. If it still carries on leaking, just fold it over and tie wrap it to the other pipe temporarily. So now to disconnect the camera, I'm going to use our trim tool to lift it up and out, the connection out. So, and then there is another one just here. We're going to push this small tab in here and unplug. So now we have our camera disconnected and the camera washer disconnected. So we'll move down to the bottom to remove that lower trim piece. Now it's this panel that runs along the front of the grille that houses the, or covers up the screws, should I say. So I'm just going to use this plastic trim tool, which does have a 90-degree head on it, to lever off of the fins and pull this plastic section forward, and then just slowly move along until it's off. Just creating a gap, and then I'm going to lever off of the fin here to do this kind of motion. So I've got the first section off, and I'm just going to now move slowly along the grille. And we can remove that. Now that we have that panel off, we can see our 3 8mm bolts. There's 1, 2, 3. We're going to be reusing these when we refit the grille. So again, just put them somewhere safe. Now we can pull the grille out, because what we're wanting to get is the support bar that is behind this, and to steer our wire in, it's a lot easier if the grille is not there. So now that we have them out, we'll pull the top half forward from the corners. So pull one corner, and then the opposite. And it will simply lift out. Now we're ready to fit our backing plate. This has a cutout here. This is for the radar, so the radar can pass through. We're going to sit this on here, and we need to make sure that the level of this is level with the bottom of there. To hold it there, I'm just going to use 2 Phillips screws. You could use any screws, they're not included in the kit, but they're just to hold it there just whilst I drill my holes. So I'll mark that up roughly. I'm going to put a screw in this slotted hole here, so I can move this left and right into position, into the centre of the bumper. So I'm roughly going to get it in the middle by using the holes from the original number plate holder. So I get kind of an even gap here, an even gap here, but just make sure that this bit is relatively flat to the bottom of this edge here. Now I'll pop my second screw up, making sure that it's level with the bottom. Now I'll move over to this side again just to make sure I'm happy that this is at the same level both sides. Now I'm going to measure from the edge of this to the centre to make sure I've got an even gap, that this is good on left and the right for the sensors. So looking at the sensor, I'm going to measure off the edge of this, just use my tape measure, and then you could use either the front edge of the sensor or the back edge, whichever's closer to a solid number instead of a half. So at the minute we've got 75 on that side, and I had 76mm on this side, so I'm going to slightly nudge it this way. So now that I'm happy that's in the middle, I'm just going to tighten the screws back up. Now these are the two holes that we're going to use. There's one here and there's one here. We're going to drill them 8.5, but behind this is, so at the front of this is plastic, and then at the very back near the radar there's a metal plate that runs along the bumper. When we drill through here, we need to make sure that we don't hit the radar loom, which is just above here. So you can put your hand underneath and you can pull that wiring out of the way. So I'm going to get an 8mm drill bit and pass that through. So the loom that runs along the back of here, I've put my hand up underneath and I'm just holding that down. You could hold it up, whichever's best for yourself. And then your drill bit, put as far out in the chuck as you can to get as far back as you can. So now we'll drill our second hole. Again, watching the loom behind. Now you should feel the metal bracket at the back that we're trying to get through. Keep your drill straight as possible. So now that we're through there and our holes are in the middle, I'm going to take the bracket off and drill a 32mm hole through here to fit our dowels. Now that we've removed that bracket, I'm going to put a 32mm hole saw through the plastic. It's literally just going through this front bit. We're not going through the metal at the back. So again, just make sure your loom's out of the way. So through that, do our second. With the 32mm, our dowels that need to go through are slightly bigger. So if I put this up to this, it's not going to fit. So I'm just going to use the deburring tool just to make that hole bigger. So now we can see our dowel passes through that hole nicely. As the car's covered in swarf and bits of metal, I'm just going to get the blower. You could use an airline. We just want to get rid of all that swarf off of there to make sure it doesn't go rusty, and we can get rid of the black plastic as well. we're going to mount our plate now. So out of the fitting kit, I have taken the 2 long M8 bolts, 4 of the M8 stainless washers, and 2 of the M8 nylock nuts. We're going to pass these bolts through here, 2 M8 ones, and put our dowel on the back. Same on the other side. And then we're going to pop that through bumper. You will have to lift the loom that runs out of the back of the bumper. You're going to have to lift that over or under the dowels. Just pop one nut on the opposite side, just stop it from coming out. So I'm just going to pop them 2 screws back in that I had before, just to help me position it and set it up for left and right. So again, I'll measure off the sensors, make sure we've got an even gap. So I now have a nice even gap either side. The bar is in the middle. I'm ready to tighten my 2 M8 bolts, which are 13mm. I'm going to use a gun on the front and a 13mm spanner on the back, which we can see from up here. Now our bracket is nice and tight. So as the last thing to do on there, I'm just going to add these covers, which are also in the kit. Simply pop them over our M8 bolts to finish that. Now that we have our mounting bracket on, we're ready to move on to the wiring. So we'll start that now. I have our 2 looms here. We have a single and a double. These are position light looms, as our lights have position lights. So we're literally just going to chop these cable ties off. This bag that comes with the looms, we're not going to need that. I'm going to get rid of that one as well. Now the double loom, we need to remove the fuse that comes in it and replace it with a 40 amp fuse, which comes in your fitting kit. So I'll just remove the 30 amp fuse and replace that with a 40 amp fuse. Yep, and then pop our cover back on. So I'm just going to explain the wiring briefly. I'll show you again once we're in the car. But we have our green wire is for our position lights, and our purple is for our either full beam signal or the auxiliary switches, which do come standard on the Raptor. The green wire is a wire that we're going to have to pass through the firewall and into the passenger side. In there is a dedicated wire which is green and white. So our green wire would go to green and white there, and our purple wire would either go to the back of the headlight on the Raptor or the auxiliary switches, which are 6, 5 and 4 at the front of the vehicle, and 3, 2 and 1 which are located at the back of the vehicle. I'm going to pick number 5 as I've already occupied number 6 with a light pod. I'm going to start with our single loom and I'm going to attach the negative over to here and then positive to the battery, and these 2 wires here I'm going to cut off the purple because it doesn't need to go through the firewall. So I've removed the purple as that is the full beam signal wire. As I said before, these headlights, we either put the full beam signal off the back of the headlights or to the auxiliary switches. So the green wire is the only one that needs to go through the firewall, as the position light wire is located in the passenger footwell, and not the full beam signal or the auxiliary switches. So I'm just going to put this rod onto the end to pass it through the bung on the firewall. So I'll just take this to the rod. And this insulation that goes around the wires, I'm just going to take that there so that again passes there through nicely and doesn't get caught on the bung when we go through. The bung that we need to go through is located at the back of the fuse box, and if you look from this upper position you'll be able to see the top. There's a nipple that comes out, and it's that we need to cut off on this side. So if you put your knife down, we're going to chop that off. So cut that off. We'll move into the inside of the car and we'll pierce it from the inside. Now that we're on the inside of the car, I'm going to remove this panel here. I'll just put a trim tool at the back, lift it up there, and then there's a trim clip located just down here. So use my trim tool. To remove it, which is that one there, and then lift the panel up and then towards you and pop it out of the way somewhere safe. Now that we've removed this panel, we're going to pierce the bung on this side. If we look under here, there is where the loom comes through the firewall, just above it there's a round circle, and it's that we need to pierce. So I'll do that now. I'm just going to put a slit along the side of it and then going down. So we've got like an X effectively to pass our wire through. You might need to move some of the insulation around the bung to be able to see it. So we'll go to the other side now and pass the wire in through the firewall, where we're going to pick up the position light wire, which is located here on the side. Our wire to pass through there, I'm just going to go on the opposite side of this and run along following the bonnet release. Now I would recommend some glass cleaner or a lubricant of sort to pass this through there so it doesn't grip as easy. So that's started to go through, so I'll go through the other side and pull it through. Just pull the rest of this through now. Till we get our insulation through as well. So the wire that we're going to go through on the side is green and white. There's a high possibility it could be labelled wrong, so just go to the green and white, which is the correct wire, which is this one just here. So I'm just going to cut this heat shrink off, which comes already on it, and then attach this green wire to this one. So our green wire, chop the pre-heat shrink off it, use our wire strippers, so with the wire that we pull through the firewall, I'm just going to pull as much as I need through and just gauge it on the other side to make sure I'm happy with the length, so I'm not cutting too much off or too little. Now I'm happy with my length, I'm just going to cut this wire and then expose the green, and then wire strip that one. And now we're going to solder these two together. So I'm just going to put some protection down underneath here. You could use cardboard, but effectively is to stop if any soldering iron that drips, it's just to stop it from going on the carpet and burning it. Now if you're using a gas soldering iron or whichever, just make sure that your exhaust is not pointing towards something that you can melt. Now to finish that up, I'll just put some electrical tape around it and tie wrap it up. So I'll just put one tie wrap up there to make sure when I pull some excess back through there that I don't put strain on these wires. Now we're ready to refit our panel. I'm going to lift the bonnet latch up position over and then lift this part of the side of the dash and slide the panel forward. Push it in there. Refit the weather strip. And lastly, to refit our trim clip. Now we're ready to move back into the engine bay. So we're just going to pull the excess through to where we need it to be. So my relay, I'm going to put both of them here in this position. So my excess, the wire that I'm going to pull through, is making sure this runs along here in a nice fluent line and follows the bonnet latch cable, comes over here and then here. So I'll just pull a slight excess through there and then cut it to length. Now pulled it slightly too much, so I'm just going to pull it back ever so slightly to where I want it, which is there. Now I'm happy my join is soldered inside. I'm just going to tie wrap that along here to neaten that up. So I'm just tie wrapping to the bonnet cable. Don't worry, the cable moves within the shroud, so we're not stopping it from moving by tie wrapping to it. And then I'm just going to put a tie wrap every so often. It's got a nice bend around that wire so it doesn't chafe on it. So doing that makes for a much cleaner install and none of our wire is all over the place. So the wire that I have running through the firewall, I do want it to sit underneath the light and I've already run it. So all I have to do is take this 10mm bolt out and I'm going to lift that and slide it under. I'm not yanking it, I'm just lifting it ever so slightly, pull my wire through and pop my bolt back in. Again, this is just to keep things nice and neat and it follows the bonnet latch. Now my loom, I'm going to sit down here and I'm going to tie wrap it to the factory loom there. So my loom, I'm just going to tie wrap, so pass this tie wrap over that, through there. So that's tight to there. I've chosen that spot because the auxiliary switches are all located here. So keeping the relays together are near one another, this section here, and plus I can get the second relay next to it and then go from here to our auxiliaries and to our battery. But I will pass this earth through here. So the earth cable, one like this, and then that is going to pick up off the earth which is here, which is provided by Ford. I'm just going to put a penny washer and 9-lock nut over that, which is included in the kit, but for now I'll just rest it on there before we fit the second loom. So our earth is to the earth point there for now. I'm just going to run our positive between the fuse box for the auxiliaries and the battery, which is literally straight through. and that I'll just leave dangling for now. This wire here I'm going to bring over and tie wrap to this loom, and then bring that over to the third light which is going to position there. So we'll just tie wrap that to the factory loom for now, because we are going to run another loom over there, so that is just a temporary wrap. And then this will go along here, and then it's going to sit over there. So before I tie wrap the rest of that, I'm going to get the second loom and start by installing that. So we'll do that now. So I've got our second loom here, which is the double loom. Tell that it's got 2 plugs. The signal wires I'm just going to cut to the same length as the positive wire, which is the one with the fuse holder on. So I'll chop this off here and get rid of that. So effectively now is what we're going to do is join the purple wire to the auxiliary switch, and the green wire we're going to connect to the other green that's on the second relay, which we've already run into the car. So we're joining this loom, the signal wires, to the signal wires on the other relay. So I'll mount that into position. So I'm just going to mount my second relay next to my other one. And then I'm going to get my positive wire and follow the same on the other one. Just untangle these slightly. So that one is going to follow that one around there, and the earth is going to follow the same as the other earth, which is down through here. I'm going to use this here and pop that on there. Once these are on the earth, I'm just going to add the penny washer over it, and then that 10mm nut. And tighten that up. Now I'm going to flip positive side up, and do already have a light pod on this vehicle, so I've already added a nut and an M6 washer. You could use the one that's already there. So now we have our earths and our lives connected. I'm now going to join this wire to the auxiliaries, which is located here, down here, because I've already used the aux 6. So just pull that up, and we will cut the tape from here to expose our wires. So I believe this green one with the peach trace is number 5, but I'm just going to confirm that. So I'm just going to use a power probe here just to check. So I'm just going to attach one end to the negative battery, and then I'm going to turn the ignition on and turn on auxiliary 5, and that will give me power to this to confirm that it is auxiliary 5. You could use any other one of the others if you like. Personal preference, I prefer to use number 6 and number 5. So as if I probe this now, there's nothing, it's dead. So we've got to turn on auxiliary 5 and check that. So we're just going to turn the ignition on. You can see our auxiliary lights all light up, and we're going to turn on number 5. We know that it's on because it turns orange. So we'll go back to the front of the car, and now I'll see if I've got power to that wire. So I'm just going to get that same wire and I'm just going to pierce it with a probe to see if we've got power, and we can see that I have. So this wire here, the thick green with the peach trace, is auxiliary number 5. So from the double loom, I'm going to run the purple wire to the green with the peach trace, and then the green wire from a double loom is going to go to the green wire on the single loom. The switches for our light, I'm just going to follow this one here, and then this wire here is from a double loom that I'm going to run to that. So I'll just cut that off, and then I'm just going to expose more of that wire. So I'll just strip the wire and twist those together. Run my loom here to there, that's a good length. I'm just taking a little bit more off. I'm just going to take 2 inches off of that. But is what also I'm going to do, I'm just going to cut the small tie wrap down here, down near the bottom of the loom, to pull the green out, because I want this green to go to the single loom, which went through into the cab, and then pink, purple one, push on there. This will tie up to there. So I'm just cutting that purple one to an adequate length, which is about there. Some of that insulation away. Suppose a bit more of that. Chop that off, and now I'm going to strip the purple and join that one to auxiliary number 5. So I'm ready to solder those 2 wires. It is quite thick wire, so it's going to take a moment to warm that wire up. The thick wire being the auxiliary wire and the signal wire being our purple. I'll just use some electrical tape just to cover that join. So now our auxiliary wire is connected. We need to attach this green wire from the double loom to the single loom, which goes over here, and then the purple from the single loom now needs to attach to the purple on the double loom. So I'm just going to cut this open. I'm going to pull out the purple, or as much as I can. So cut that from there, and now I'll go back over here and pull the purple from there. So I'm pulling the purple wire out from the single loom, and that is going to go over to the double loom, which is connected to our auxiliary, and then our green from our double is going over to the single. So run that there. Now I'm just going to splice this green. I'm not cutting it, just splicing it. So wire strip that in a relaxed state, and cut your green to the length that's required. So that one's ready to be soldered, but before I do that, I'm going to get the purple and do the same, but attach that to the double loom. So I'll bring that across here, and I'm just going to cut into here. Again, I'm just splicing it, not cutting through it. And then gauge that to the correct length. So I'll solder them. So is what we've done here. The single loom, the green wire from the single loom runs through the firewall into the car, which attaches to the green and white wire. So that then gives us our position lights. We've then taken the green wire from the double loom and attached it to the same green wire on the second loom, meaning that the double loom now picks up the same signal as the first loom. Then from the double loom, just because of the position, we've run that purple wire, which is to make the lights come on when you press auxiliary 5. That is attached to the auxiliary wire on number 5 down here. So we've then taken the purple wire from the first loom and attached it to the double loom, which means the first loom receives the same signal at the same time as the other wire. So we're not adding any loads to it, we're just taking signals, that's all we're doing. With that being said, I'm just going to solder now the position lights and then the wire for the main light itself. So just going to put some tape around our joints. Now that we have both of them taped, I'm just going to cut this tie wrap just to hold that there. And then I'm going to bring both wires over here and then bring that down to here, onto there. So that wraps up our wiring. We have our 2 double looms here, which are going to put to, you could either put one to this light over here and one to here, and then your single to the middle, and just follow the factory wiring at the top. But all 3 are there, we're all wired in up here. We're now ready to move on to modifying the front grille, the bar behind the front grille, and we need to tap out one Sentinel light. So we'll do that now. So I have our standard grille here. We need to take out the top bar. So if we flip this over, now that we flip that over, I'm just going to remove this top support bar because we're going to drill through it and it's easier outside. So move these are T25s. Take them screws out and then we're going to lift that top bar out. So I know it's difficult to see on camera, but there is a faint mark of where the O and the R were on this, and we need to go in the middle of there and drill that a 6.5 or a 7mm hole. So if we can see in the middle of there, I'm just going to put my drill bit in the middle. So we've drilled our hole through the centre of our bracket. So we have our 2 light stays. We're only going to need 1 of these. But if we look at this end, we're not going to use this section here. So we're going to remove that, but also we're going to change those 2 nuts, 1, 2, for these 2 M6 stainless nuts, and have 2 washers. These are also in the kit. So I'll start by removing this. So I'm now going to put one of these M6 nuts on, but I'm putting it backwards, then nylock side first. This will mean when it goes through the support bar that this nut is actually on the correct side. So just get that started and then just wind it on. So from experience, if we look at this section here that has a position if you want to hold an adjustable spanner on it to stop the bar from spinning, if we go 2 or 3 mil from where those threads stop, that should be the correct length that we need from the actual the back of the light itself. So this bit will go into the back of the light and this bit will go through our bar. So again, it's 2 or 3 mil from where those threads are flat. I'll pop that through there, pop that onto there, turn this over, pop our washer on, and now our other nut. So I'm just going to tighten that nut up now. This being the top, we want our ball to be able to slide in a downward position. So I'm just going to twist this so it's in that down position. You do this by putting a spanner on and just turning it. So when we look at this section being behind the grille, we want this to be able to pivot up and down. So that's why we want that that part there at the lowest point. Now that we've got our light stay in the support bar, we're ready to grab the grille and remount this. This does only go in one way. So just put that back on the location points. So now that we've got that on, we're ready to remount this to the car. So we'll go over there and put this back on properly. Just line your tabs up and pop it into place. So we'll start by putting, now that we've got that in, we'll put our 3 screws in the bottom and put our front plate back on. So we'll remount our lower facial panel, making sure all the tabs are clipped in. So now from here, we're going to go onto the table and tap the back of the light, which is going to go into the center. So we only need to tap one of the lights. So I've just picked one of them, completely at random, it doesn't matter which one. Just going to take that. So opening our box, we have our laser light. And we have warranty information and a certificate of authenticity. So I'm just going to keep the declaration of conformity and the warranty information. The various other bits you can keep or you can place them in the bin. That one we also need to keep. So I'll just pop these aside, we don't need them. Also in the box with the light, we do get this small bag. We don't need any of this. We do also get a spare plug and we don't need that. So I have our Lazer Sentinel light here. You'll notice on the ones that have position lights, they have a brown and a green. The brown is for amber backlight and the green is for a white backlight. We want the green, so all we're going to do is pop the green into the connection. Make sure you listen for the click to confirm that it's in properly, and we need to do this on all 3 lights. So I had a click. Next I'm going to pull this collar up to the light and fold this brown over, as we're not going to be needing it. But if you ever change your mind later on, you could just switch that out, deepen that and put your brown one in. and that's it. But we need to repeat that same process with all 3 of the lights. But for now, we'll turn this over to tap this. If we look on the back of the light up here, we have a small hole already in the light, but we need to open that up. So I'm going to drill that 5 and tap it M6. Now, I do want to say we're not going all the way through the light. We're literally just going in until we feel some resistance. That feels like resistance. So I'll just turn that over and bang that swarf out. And now I'm going to run my tap down there, which is an M6 tap. Again, just keep going until we get some level of resistance, and then we know we're at the bottom. We'll come back out and knock the swarf out and then do that again. So I'm just going to run the tap down there again now that I bang the swarf out, just to make sure that it has gone all the way to the bottom. Now, if you have an airline, I would recommend blowing this out. I'm just going to use a pick to break that swarf up that's got compacted. So I've set our tap 1 aside now. I'm going to get the other 2 out the boxes and do the same with the plugs, so we have all of them ready to go on. So now that we've all the plugs sorted, have our centre tap light and then our 2 outer ones. I've put them in order so I know which order they're going in. I've got all the certificates for each and every light, all in this small booklet, and I'm going to put into the gut box, and then I'm going to do that now, and then we're going to move over to the vehicle to mount the front bar, which is going to hold all 3 of these lights. So unboxing our bar now. So I have our bar here, and our bar is going to sit on the outside of both of these. I'm going to remove these 3 here. These are for our Sentinel lights, so I'll pop them to the side. And then these 4 here are going to go through the side here and then through these bits here. So we'll go there and then pop our bolt through, and then we have our nut, our flange nut to go on the opposite side. So we'll go in the top one, sorry, and then pop my nut on. I'm going to go through the second one for now until I'm comfortable with my height, and if this sits up here, then I'll move our bottom one to the bottom level. So I'm just going to lift that up to the top and tighten it up there. Not massively tight, but just tight enough so I can still move it. So I'll get that to its lowest point at the minute, so it's sat on both sides. On this bit here, if we look at this point here, it bottoms out there. So as close as it'll go towards the car, and then just nip that up. Now that we have our bar on, I'm going to get our light with the tapped hole in the back of it. I'm going to remove the nuts that it came with and the small washer. In the pack you will have 3 large flat washers. So I'm going to take out the smaller washer that they came with, grab one of the big ones and a spring washer. I'm going to sit this through there for now. Sits out of the way, and pop our middle one there. So I'm going to hold the top of the light, and I'm just going to fit the large washer on first, and then the spring washer, and finally the nut. we need to move the bracket up so this light stay is at the same level as our hole that we've tapped in the back. So I'm going to loosen this off again now and lift this bracket up so it's at the same height. So I'm just going to remove this nut off here and keep that washer on there. Lift that up. Now tighten that into our hole. So that's nipped up. I'm going to lift that bar up to the right height and then tighten the nuts up. We'll just level our bar out. So now I'm going to level our light, now that I've got this bar straight. So I'm just going to use this laser level here. You'd need your light at 90 degrees. So to adjust that, we have two Allen keys on both sides of the light. And all we're going to do is just loosen them to get that light to sit at 90 degrees. So I have our spirit level on there and I have 90 degrees. So now that I have 90 degrees on there, I'm going to grab the other two and I'm going to sit them either side here and then line them all up so they're in a straight line together and they're all at 90 degrees. Now that we have those on, I'm just going to use my laser level to make sure that the two outer ones are at 90 degrees, and then once they are, I'm going to line them up for forward and backwards so they line up with our center one. So to adjust them, all I'm going to do is turn this to expose my two Allen keys, which are 5mm to 90. I'm not sure if you can hear the beat, but that's 90 degrees. And then I'll move to the furthest one and do the same on that one. Have all our lights at 90 degrees and they're all in the same line. So we're ready now to plug the back of the lights through the grille and up to the top. Now I'm just going to pass the cables through the grille and then pull the grille forward and hook them over. So find a fin that is available to put that through so it's nice and straight. It's not any curve. So that one's through, our middle one's through, and now our last one. And now I'm just going to pull the grille forward from the top. Same on both sides. Once we've got that forward, I'm now going to hook the back of them. So I have all three of those over. I'm just going to reattach the water pipe for the front camera. Plug that back in, and the same with the front camera. I'm going to plug that back in and mount that back into position. Then I'm going to plug our far light in. And then middle one and our end one. Now we can push the grille back in. We'll put our 8mm bolts in at the top. Now that we've got all three of those lights plugged in, I'm just going to tidy this up. We're going to put a bit of tension on them to make sure none of these wires get caught in any of the vents that are on the radiator. But effectively I'm going to follow the factory loom round and over here. Make sure you tie wrap to the loom and not to the water pipe. Now this is all tidied in there, which is going to get covered up. I'm just going to try the lights, so I'll put the ignition on and make sure that the position lights come on, and then switch auxiliary 5 to make sure the lights come on full power. So if we find that the front Sentinel bar is slightly off centre, meaning towards one sensor one way than it is the other, then there is this way around it. If we go into these settings, just go into this setting here, and we're going to go to driver assistance, let that load, and we'll go to park pilot sensors, and then we'll go to see where it says front sensors and rear sensors. This is always, so we just turn that off, come back out of there, and this will now turn off our front parking sensors. Just refit this front panel. I'm just going to pull this rubber off the air duct, then slide that under and into position, and then pop that rubber back on the air duct, and I'll get our trim clips and refit that. So last thing to do, we have these M8 covers for the bolts, and they simply just pop on the edge. That completes the installation of our Sentinel lights on the Raptor 2023. Thank you for watching.